Christmas is a time for festivities and joyous celebrations. Whether you're celebrating the birth of Christ or just participating in the season of giving, many people around the world view the Christmas season as a time to be happy. Being invited to a holiday party is usually something to get excited about. Sometimes, though, the feast turns into famine. Abergavenny Castle was built in roughly 1087 by Norman Lord Hamlin de Balin. A ditch was formed around the structure and fortified with a palisade-style fence beyond that. The building inside was made of wood, but in 1100, 13 years after the initial construction, that was replaced by stone. In addition, a wooden hall was built on the western side of the property. In the mid-12th century, Henry Fitzmiles was the first Earl of Hereford and Lord of Abergavenny, but he was killed in 1160 by Cecil ap Dynwal of Castle Arnault. Since Henry didn't have any children, his estate was passed to his sister's husband, William de Broughus, the third Lord of Bramber. At some point, the power was transferred to William's son, the fourth Lord of Bramber. He was estimated to be in his early to late 20s, but despite his young age, William already held significant wealth and power. William had children of his own with his wife, 20-year-old Maud St. Valerie. Though there were many battles in the area at the time, William took the murder of his uncle personally and vowed to seek revenge. As Christmas time approached, William decided to invite Cecil and 2 other princes from his castle over for a holiday feast. He gave them the impression that they would be discussing a royal order regarding the bearing of arms. The princes accepted the invitation and arrived at the castle with their sons and aides. Since the visit was by invitation, the men willingly handed over their weapons at the door. That was understood as a sign of peace at the time and was expected in other places like taverns and churches. They had no intention of inflicting any harm, but the others had different ideas. After handing over their weapons, the men congregated in the Great Hall where they believed they would be having dinner. Instead, the doors behind them were sealed shut, and suddenly each and every one of them was murdered by William and his men. Once the massacre was over, William saw that the princes, their heirs, and their aides had all been killed, with the exception of Cecil's son. He had not attended the feast, so William got onto his horse and galloped away with some of his henchmen in tow. They stopped after a few miles at the home of Cecil ap Dynwal. William then went inside and murdered Cecil's remaining son, who was just 7 years old. He died in his mother's arms as she fought to protect him. She and her daughter were left physically unharmed, and it's not known what became of them once William rode away. But why did William orchestrate such a violent act against so many people? It's believed that William killed Cecil to avenge the death of his uncle. However, that wouldn't explain all the other Welsh princes who were killed that night. William likely did so to destabilize the local powers surrounding him to ensure his family was at no risk of future threat. However, William's actions would spark retribution from other surviving Welsh families. Abergavenny Castle was set alight and burned to ashes. Another castle was built in the years that followed over the ruins of what stood before, and pieces of that castle still remain today. Order was restored after reinforcements were sent from England to settle relations. William was never prosecuted for his crimes, and years later he would find himself accused of another murder. He was brought into King John's court as one of the main suspects in the disappearance of Arthur of Brittany, a young boy who posed as the king's strongest rival. Arthur was never found, but it was strongly suggested that he had been murdered. The king himself was also one of the main suspects. In time, King John's feelings of fondness towards William took a sharp turn, which resulted in his wife and child starving to death under the king's custody. Many believe that happened at Corfe Castle. In the end, William died alone with not a cent to his name after he was exiled. In a way, there was some sort of justice in the end for his heinous crimes, but unfortunately, it seemed that his wife and child paid the ultimate price for his sins. Thanks for letting us tell you this sinister story. If you enjoyed it, subscribe on whatever platform you're on, and hit like, rate it, or leave a comment. Join us next week when we'll take you somewhere sinister.